Hey guys, John Haddock here again with Think Comics, and today we're going to be going over different ways you can read comics, and hopefully with this video you can look and say which one works for you best. Here's the standard way of reading comics, the single issues. These come out every Wednesday. You can do what I do. I just type in comics come out this week on Google, and I find out different pull lists that are out, and I can figure out, okay, which books aren't in my pull list, which books do I need to get, and I can coordinate with my shop to get them. The problem is a lot of people don't live near a comic book store. If that's the case, Marvel, DC, and Image and all the other guys have these trades, which collect these in their complete story form, and sometimes the omnibuses will collect not only a certain writer's complete run on a book, even an artist's run. And then you have deluxe books down here, and oftentimes these are one-shot stories that really have nothing to do with the main continuity of a story. They're just a single story featuring a character, and without the baggage of hundreds of issues prior. And with the deluxe issues, you get maybe like unfinished artwork, storyboards, stuff like that, kind of give you the behind-the-scenes feel to it. Now let's look at this one a little bit more in depth. Here we have House of X, one by Hickman, and this is getting great reviews. This is the new X-Men relaunch. Everyone's talking about it. We've talked about it in prior videos and on our podcast on SoundCloud. And this would be a great start to read for any new X-Men fan. You really don't need to know a whole lot of X-Men stuff to get into this. However, everybody loves Batman, and everybody wants to read Batman whenever they go into a comic book shop. He's probably the biggest guy that sells. Here we have Batman 77. Now, here's the thing. It's 77. I know what you're saying, John. What about 76? Because when I watch a TV show, I always start at Season 1, Episode 1. So why would I want to start in 77? Well, that's great because they're collected in trades. The thing that I always tell people to do is, just because it says Volume 1 doesn't mean it might be the story that you want. So what I'm saying is, when you go to your comic book shop or whatever bookstore, make sure you look and say that, hey, look, this book is written by Tom King. I need to make sure I get Tom King's Volume 1. Because if you end up getting Volume 1 by Snyder, you're going to read a fantastic story called Court of Owls and not City of Bane stuff. Now that is important. Now moving on, here we have the Epics, the Epic collections by Marvel. Now these replaced something called the Essentials, which I hated. They were made very, very cheap, and when you opened them inside, the paper was it was like a coloring book, and everything was black and white. You had no art, which I hated. But the plus side of that, you got to read a lot of issues that were out of print that you normally couldn't get a hold of. Now, these follow different, these usually collect certain storylines. Like this one is Daredevil, A Touch of Typhoid. And this introduces the villainous Typhoid Mary and follows Daredevil. And here you can see, just some of how that artwork is. And, that's what you're getting. These will run you $40. You can probably go online and find them cheaper. It all depends on how much they're in print and how long they've been out. The important thing to follow is, here's an Iron Man one. Same exact deal as the Daredevil one. Now here's the difference. This is what I always tell people to make sure whenever you're buying Epic books. Is this Iron Man book is Volume 6, 1990 to 1992. You can see that right there. Now here's the thing. We go 3 volumes before. It's the Daredevil book, Volume 13. This is 88 to 89. The difference here is you don't collect these by volume number. Whenever you look at the volume where it says here where the year is, you need to go over to the side where it says collects Iron Man. What is this? 258 to 277. That is how you're going to want to collect these books, because you don't just go by volumes. A lot of times the volumes might be a different character, or they might be a different whole time slot. So these are really, really great pieces to get caught up on. They're relatively cheap. They hold up well. I've had this one for a couple of years, and I think I've read this one 2 times. So, it definitely holds up with wear and tear. Another way that these companies collect is Marvel will do, one-shots with certain characters that they have. Here we have Carnage, a classic, and this collects Amazing Spider-Man 361, which is Carnage's first full appearance, to 363, 410, 430, and 431, Carnage Unleashed, which is his first miniseries. Sensational Spider-Man 3, 67, Spectacular. So basically what this is it takes spotlight on Carnage, the red symbiote, the son of Venom, and says, hey, look, we're just going to give you his whole rundown, his whole origin stuff. So if you're new to Carnage, or you've seen him in animated stuff and video games, and said, hey, look, I want to learn more about this guy, something like this would be for you. And it's printed on the same kind of material as the Epics collections. Everything's in color, and these work. If you definitely need to pay attention to volume numbers. I mean, not volume numbers, but issue numbers. Is because, say you get, an issue like, you might get the collected Maximum Carnage storyline, and pay attention because you don't want to be buying the same numbers. So these are really, really, really great. You can even, I know another one that I have is Spider-Man versus Venom, and it collects all of from Venom's first appearance and all of his first encounters with the webhead all the way through. But once again, you gotta know what issues that you're collecting, because you don't want to end up buying, an omnibus or whatever, and then realizing, wait, I have it all here on trade, and you've just wasted a lot of money. Now, the other way, the preferred way that I like reading these is the omnibuses, and these are DC and Marvel do them a lot. Dark Horse has done them. I have the Black Hammer one. Those are called library collections. But this is what you're going to mostly see. And this is a very big book, and it's very heavy. And this collects the entire Grant Morrison run of Doom Patrol. This collects issue 19 to issue 63 plus Doom Force Special 1. And these are super collectible and kind of very expensive. This one will retail you at $150. And here's just some of how the artwork looks in here. And there's not a whole lot of gutter wash. Whenever you lay it down flat, you don't lose a lot, which is a huge plus, because a lot of these, I always worry whenever I look at it, whenever you lay it flat on a table, how much am I going to read? And a book like this does it very, very well, and it really holds up. The important thing with this is that if you're really new to comics and you're just starting out, make sure you really like the source material. Like Doom Patrol is kind of goofy. It's not for everybody. If you've seen the show on DC streaming service, you know that it's a different kind of show. It's a different kind of comic book feel. You definitely, what I would recommend is read a couple single issues. If you have the DC streaming service and you like Doom Patrol, read a couple of those issues. They're on the DC streaming service. Say, hey, I like this. Or maybe just buy a trade for a very, very fraction of this book's cost before you invest into something like this. The other thing that I like are these. They're called deluxe editions. Now, Superman Secret Origins was written by Jeff Johns, and it is an incredible take on the Man of Steel, and it does a real good job of capturing what Superman is. Not to give too much spoilers away, the biggest takeaway for this book for me is there's a part in the beginning when he meets Clark runs into an older lady, bumps into her, they have an exchange, and then the difference is in that instance, Superman doesn't exist in Metropolis. The end of the story, we see the same lady interacting with somebody in a similar situation, and she acts in a totally different way. The difference is Superman exists in that world, and this book really, really highlights how Superman inspires people to do better and to be better, and he inspires heroes. So let's take off the desk cover and really look at the deluxe issues. So a lot of these will just be blank. It's actually embroidered, Superman Secret Origins. The artwork is fairly the same in what it was printed. This actually didn't come out that long ago. But with the deluxe editions, what makes them stand out is in the back. Let's see if we have any here. We have a couple. What we get is we get extra covers that weren't used for the book. But primarily, these are really, really cool to start with, because you can get into a character that you really, really like, and they don't go into depth with them at all. And it's just a nice takeaway, and it's nice. You can read about a character as big as Superman, as popular as Superman, without knowing or having any baggage of all the other issues that follow. And these are really, really, really good pieces to definitely invest into. But hopefully with this video you've found out a way on, how can I read comics, and this inspires you to go look into other things. Definitely give a like and subscribe, give comments, tell us what we're doing. You can follow us on SoundCloud at Think Comics. We do a podcast where we just talk about things that we like, things that we're reading, and things that are coming out that we're excited about. As always, this is John Haddock. Thank you for listening, and continue reading comics. Thank you.